The parsha begins with Avraham Avinu recovering from the mitzvah of bris milah. And the pasuk says how desperate Avraham Avinu is for guests. It was a very hot day. Hashem took the sun out of the casing, glaring heat, the sun's blazing on the world. Avraham Avinu is sick, recovering from milah, and he's desperate for guests. So what's the common denominator between these things? In other words, it seems from the pasuk that Avraham Avinu's recovery from bris milah is connected to his desperation for guests. What's the connection between recovering from milah and being desperate for guests? And what's the connection between those two things and the sun coming out and glaring down on the world? Rashi brings down on the pasuk, V'hu yoshev. Rashi says, teach you halacha that when a Jewish judge judges a case, he must sit. V'hu yoshev. What's the shaykhus over here between a judge, a Jewish judge, judging Dinei Torah, to the whole story of Avraham Avinu's recovery and his desperation for guests? The answer is that mitzvahs milah, there's a chiddush nifla. What's the chiddush nifla of bris milah? The whole concept of milah is to be koveya Kedusha. Kedusha is something that is lofty. It's something that you cannot really be koveya, fixed down here in the material world. Kedusha is lofty, and even if you bring it down, it just floats back up again. The chiddush nifla of mitzvahs milah is you're engraving. Milah is Kedusha. The bracha of milah is asher kiddush he did. Kiddush, it's Kedusha. You're taking something of Kedusha, heavenly, and you're fixing it into a human body, something material, something physical. Into the lowest part of the human body, you're fixing Kedusha. That is the chiddush nifla of the mitzvahs of bris milah. Avraham Avinu, before he was commanded with bris milah, he's called Avram. Avram. Ram means lofty. His Kedusha was lofty. It wasn't fixed down here in this world. After the bris milah, after he was commanded, bris milah, his name was Avram, 248, Gematria 248. Now his job is to fix all the Kedusha into this world, and it should be here, but often kavua and fixed. That's the sod that milah is ois. It's called an ois. Ois is aleph. Aleph is pella. It's lofty. It's wondrous. It's lofty. It doesn't belong down here. Aleph, vav. Vav brings it down here, and the sof is the last letter. It fixes it down here in this world. That's why Shabbos, for example, is also called an ois. Why? Because we know Shabbos is kaviyah v'kaima. Chazal say that Shabbos, unlike the moyadim, that are sometimes on this day, sometimes on that day, Shabbos is kavua v'kaima. The Kedusha of Shabbos is fixed. That's why there's a lot of halachas. For example, when it comes to hilchas meiser, you're allowed to eat, allowed to nash something before you take meiser from it, because it's not an achilas kavua. But Shabbos, the halacha is kavea l'meiser. Shabbos, anything you eat, it's kavua, you have to take meiser for it. Shabbos has the koyach of kaviyah. That's what the kedusha of Shabbos comes down and is fixed into Shabbos. That's why there's a mitzvah of kiddush b'mokem suda. Kiddush is kedusha. Seuda is something that's fixed. You sit around the table, you wash. It's called being koveya seuda. That's why on Shabbos, which has the koyach of kvios, that's why on Shabbos there's a mitzvah to eat multiple seudas on Shabbos to fix, because it's the koyach where you can fix kedusha down here in this world, and that's called kiddush b'mokem suda. Now we can start tying the things at the beginning of the parsha together. Avraham Avinu is recovering from mitzvahs bris milah. Mitzvahs bris milah is fixing Kedusha in this world. Because of that, Avraham Avinu was desperate for guests. Avraham Avinu is the one that speaks out Hashem. Avraham Avinu is the one that brings the recognition of Hashem into this world, brings the conscience of that there's a Vayera, a creator in this world. But it's no good just to talk and preach. You've got to bring it into people and fix it into people that it should remain. And therefore Avraham Avinu, his way of being the car of people was by eating a Suda and talking about Hashem and talking about the Vayera in Kviya Suda. That's the sod of being the car of somebody through a Suda. Like the Gemara says, Gedoyla Legima. It's an Indian to be the car of somebody, dafka, through a Suda. Because a Suda is a Kvios. And whatever you speak at the Suda becomes fixed. So Mela, that's the beautiful connection. Avraham is recovering from a mitzvah that fixes Kedusha. So therefore Avraham Avinu wants to have guests. He wants to have a kviyas suda, that all that he talks to them about HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be fixed within them. That's the connection between the sun out of the casing. What's the difference between the sun and the moon? The moon is not fixed. it disappears, it gets bigger, it gets smaller. The Sfarim say that the sun resembles an Indian of Kvios. Hashem took the sun out of its casing. It means that the sun was glaring its or hakvius in this world. So the boy B'Shah at the same time where Avraham was coming from the mitzvah of Mila, which is fixed, and he's looking for guests to fix. Hashem took the Chamam in Artika to fix the Kedusha. There should be an R of Kvius down here in this world. That is why a Dayan has to sit when he judges the Dinei Torah. When you bring the lofty Torah down Lamaisa, you bring it down and you paskin Dinei Torah in the civilized world, then you bring it down Lamaisa, you're fixing the lofty Torah down here in this world. That's why a Dayan has to sit, because yeshiva, is the Inyan of Kvius. So that binds all the Inyanim of the first pasuk together. Mila, sitting Achnos Zarchim, the Chama out of the Martika, and the Dayan sitting. We should be Zoycha Be'ez Hashem through this parasha that all the Kedusha and all the Avodas Hashem that we're busying ourselves with should be fixed within us, Ba'oifim Kavua V'Kaimo, and in that schus we should be Zoycha Metz Hashem to the Yisgalus of David HaMelech, who's the regular Revi of the Merkava, should be fixed down here in Metz Hashem in this world. La'ol Me'ad B'Meher B'Yomeinu Amen.